each of you on all the ins and outs of advising, what you need to know start to finish to prepare for enrollment this fall. So as Lindsay said, we'll open it up for questions at the end of my presentation. So we should have at least about 15 minutes devoted to that, if there are any questions that are unanswered in the chat at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get the ball rolling here. All right. Can y'all see my PowerPoint? Can I get a thumbs up? Yes. All right, great. So to begin, the basics of what you need to know about the SAM Center, who we are and what we do. So the SAM Center's primary function is to advise undergraduate students. So what does that mean? If you're unfamiliar with the profession of academic advising, essentially our goal is to share the responsibility with students to make a successful transition to Sam Houston State University. We want to help students crystallize their educational and career goals. So develop and implement an appropriate academic plan, which includes graduation timeline. And we want to get you connected to all the supports around campus that are designed to help you thrive during your time here. And of course, probably what you do know about advising at the very least is that we are here to help you understand your degree requirements. And so we do that through use of our degree auditing software system called DegreeWorks. So each time you come in to meet with your advisor, we're going to review your degree plan with you. And during your initial advising session, we're going to go over the basics of the degree plan, and we'll talk more about that a little later. But all of that to say, we really are here to help you make the most of your college experience, academically and otherwise. Okay, so the SAM Center is located in the Humanities and Social Sciences building in suites 170 and 190. Now, since the pandemic started last year, we have temporarily suspended face-to-face appointment availability. If and when we resume that appointment availability, we will post that update to our website. Currently, though, we are serving students in a virtual format only. We'll talk a little bit more about what those options consist of in a moment. But our appointment availability ranges from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. And so we've got a lot of options to serve you for your initial advising session. And the way we do advising for undergraduate students here at SAM is we have a team of advisors for each college. So what that means is whichever college your major is housed in is the advising team you're going to schedule your appointment with. And this is helpful because you don't just have one assigned advisor for your time here. You have a team of advisors you can choose from, which means if you're needing a little more flexibility in terms of availability or your schedule, you've got a team of professional advisors ready to serve you. But if you have your initial advising session and you want to stick with that advisor for your entire time here, that's great too, because once again, we want it to become a partnership, a relationship, because advising is truly a consistent and continuous process. It's not a once and done kind of thing. So where do you get advised? So like I said, this is going to be virtually, but we've got a couple of options for you to choose from. So when you go into Campus Connect to book your advising appointment, which I'm going to take you to the link on our website where you're going to find all the step-by-step instructions you need to get any help with setting up that initial appointment. We'll look at that in just a second, but first, your two options for your advising appointment are between Zoom and email appointments. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between those two options. Zoom is definitely the recommended modality. because it enables us to cover a lot more ground in the time that we have with you. Your advising appointment will be a 30-minute session. And so, of course, having that video chat functionality, we're going to be able to cover a lot more ground in that time. And it's more interactive, of course, because we can both share our screens and walk you through the degree plan in more depth. Whether you choose Zoom or email, you will receive your official academic advisement in the form of an email. Now, this is going to be sent to your Sam Houston email account. So if you haven't already activated your SHSU email account, it's really important that you do that as soon as possible and begin checking that email account on a daily basis, because our department, along with so many others on campus, are already contacting you at that email address. And once you begin talking with your advisor, all further communication will be sent to that account. So with the email appointment, if you aren't going to be available at the time that you schedule your session, that's okay. That doesn't require you to be present during that 30-minute session. With that modality, essentially what's going to happen is your advisor is going to send you a preliminary email with some questions that might include things like, are you planning to take courses in person, online, or both? Do you have any credits that are pending transfer, for instance, dual credits, AP credits, because those are, of course, things that your advisor needs to know so they can advise around those courses that you're anticipating transfer credit in. So it's really important that you do check your email and respond to those questions if you selected an email appointment, because that just enables your advisor to better serve you and ensure the accuracy of that initial advisement. Now, with the Zoom appointment, either way, when you schedule your advising appointment in Campus Connect, you're going to receive a confirmation via your Sam Houston email. In the confirmation for the Zoom appointment, you're going to have the link to your advisor's personal meeting room in Zoom. So you'll need to access that through your Sam Houston email as well. But let me go ahead and show you how to access the appointment scheduling instructions for Campus Connect. And I'll show you actually how to navigate here from the home page. So hopefully you've already been on the shsu.edu website. If you hover your cursor over the Services and Resources drop-down menu, you'll see the link to the SAM Center there. And on our landing page, this is actually where I was talking about any updates regarding resuming in-person appointment availability. This is where that information will be posted. So you can always check back here if you're curious. But the link to scheduling a virtual appointment is right here at the top. And so you'll see step-by-step instructions listed here. And it's also helpful to note that many departments around campus use our Campus Connect system for self-scheduling appointments. And so this is a really fast and easy way for you to get your appointment set up. If you're having any trouble, of course, you're welcome to contact our front desk staff, and they'll be glad to help you schedule that initial advising session. Now, before you're going to be ready to schedule your virtual appointment, you'll need to identify which advising team to book that appointment with. Now, like I said earlier, this is according to your major and which college your major is housed in. And so if you scroll down on the Who's My Advisor page, you're going to see a drop-down menu that includes an alphabetical listing of all of our undergraduate programs. So you'll just find your major here and click on it. And there you're going to see information about which advising team to book with. So you'll use that information to then find an advisor on that team in Campus Connect whose availability aligns with yours. And then you'll just select either an email appointment or a Zoom appointment. Okay, so you may still be wondering, all right, I've heard a little bit about what advising is, what the purpose of advising is, but is it a requirement? And yes, it absolutely is. At least for students' first and second semesters. So we have several categories of mandatory advisement, and one of those is no Sam Houston GPA. So of course, as a new student, you won't establish an SHSU GPA until the close of your first semester here. So what that means is you've got to get advised in order to register for the fall semester. And then in the fall, we'll open advising for spring of next year in September. So you'll have to schedule another advising appointment to get advised for the spring semester in order to register for that term. So just keep in mind, you won't be able to register until you've already been advised and gotten your hold cleared. And so that leads us to the question of, okay, well, when should I get advised? And the answer to that question is, of course, as soon as possible. And this is because we haven't even opened registration yet. I actually included on this slide a screenshot of the fall 2021 registration schedule. And you'll see that fall registration won't be opening until, at least to freshmen, until the end of next month. And so some things to keep in mind about how the registration schedule works here. Number one, registration will open to classifications in descending order. And there are 2 alphabetical groupings for each class. And the registrar's office rotates those. Now, those groups are based on the first letter of your last name. So if your last name begins with the letter S, like you're not going to be the second group for registration each semester, they alternate. So, and as far as like how classification works, if you took quite a few AP credits and dual credits in high school, you may be coming in as a sophomore. So every 30 hours earned, your classification changes. But if you haven't earned at least 30 hours in college credit, then you'll be coming in as a freshman. Maybe you don't have any transfer credits, which means registration for the fall is going to open to you on April 22nd. And for students whose last name begins with letters A through K, registration will open at 4 a.m. That doesn't mean you have to be up at 4 a.m. ready to go. It just means that's going to be your first opportunity. And then for students whose last name begins with letters L through Z, that's going to be a 1 p.m. opening. And so ideally, you get your advising appointment scheduled, if you haven't already, for a day prior to April 22nd. And our availability is quickly vanishing. We usually book out quite a few weeks in advance. And so the sooner you go into Campus Connect and get this appointment scheduled, the better. And the sooner you register, the more options you're going to have for building that perfect fall schedule. So want to encourage getting that ball rolling. And I did want to pull up the new student checklist, accepted student checklist, because this is a really important resource, and it really does detail all the steps you'll need to make, or excuse me, to take in order to adequately prepare for enrollment this fall. And you will see advising on here. And you'll notice that it's highly recommended that you get advised before attending orientation this summer. So I just wanted to echo that recommendation. So if you're unable to get advised prior to registration opening at the end of next month, hopefully you at least get advised prior to orientation, and ideally you also get registered before that time as well. Okay. So the next question you might be asking yourself is, how do I prepare for my advising appointment? I've already gotten it booked, I'm ready to go, but what do I need to do next? So like I've already said a couple of times, definitely activate your SHSU email, which is where you're going to find that appointment confirmation and any further communication that's been sent to you by your advisor. And you'll also need to make sure that you have a TSI status on file, or maybe you qualify for a TSI exemption. But without scores on file or a TSI exemption, we are unable to advise you. So this is a really important step in preparing for your first advising appointment. So the TSI team works in the registrar's office, and you are of course able to contact them if you have any questions about how to get your scores submitted. If you know you still need to complete the TSI, which stands for Texas Success Initiative, if you know you still need to test in one or more areas, you can contact our testing center for help with arranging that test. But I did want to show you how to access the TSI information on the website should you have any questions. And this is actually, we have this handy fast links drop down menu, and this is an alphabetical listing of departments that you may need to find information about. And so if you just go to the registrar's office, and then you'll see the link to TSI here. And you also can access the registrar from the services and resources drop down menu. But you should be able to find most of the information you need at this link. Exemptions you'll find here. And you can actually check this information yourself in DegreeWorks. So I wanted to show you an example of what that's going to look like. But before I do that, let me show you how to access your degree plan in DegreeWorks if you have yet to do that. You've probably already been in My SAM. So if you go to the Campus Tools drop-down menu and click on My SAM, and then click on the Students tab here, you're going to see the DegreeWorks channel over here on the far right. All these little boxes are called channels. And you'll need to make sure that you're using either Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge. As of right now, these are the only two browsers that support full functionality of our DegreeWorks system. If you're a Mac user, you can use Firefox, that's fine too, just not Chrome. So as long as you're using one of those browsers, when you click on this link, you should see something like this. There will be like your personally identifiable information at the top of the style sheet, and then you'll scroll down and you're going to see a TSI section here. And let me pull my PowerPoint back up because this might be hard for you to see. Okay, so I included a couple of examples of the TSI section. So there are 3 areas that you're tested in on the TSI. Those include reading, writing, and math. So you'll need to have a status in each of those areas. Now, what you're going to find in DegreeWorks are instructions according to your status. And even if you lack scores, which is what you'll see in the second example under the math area, that testing is required. If you've already tested and you're not TSI met, which is indicated by this green check mark, then there will be further instructions like see your advisor, or but this is the information your advisor has to have during your first appointment in order to advise you into the appropriate courses for the fall semester. Okay, so more about preparing for your advising appointment. Be sure that you're booking according to your intended major. We understand that when you submitted your application through Apply Texas, you may have selected a major that you're no longer planning to pursue. So you want to make sure that you're selecting the advising team for your intended major, even if that is goes against what's currently in DegreeWorks. And you may be unsure about what program you want to major in. Advisors are well equipped to discuss with you your career interests, explore different majors according to those interests. We have lots of resources available to you that can help with that process as well. But one I want to introduce you to now, if you're feeling undecided about your major, you can access the what can I do with this major.com website from Career Services. Career Services is another page you can access from Services and Resources. And so when you get there, you'll just click on the Students drop-down menu. And then you'll see the link, what can I do with this major? Now, this is a third-party website that we have purchased access to, which means you will have to access it through shsu.edu. But once you're here, you can click on View All Majors. And there you're going to see a list of majors, and these aren't an exact match to the programs, the undergraduate programs that SHSU offers, because again, this is a third-party website, but they're really close. And really what you're looking at here are fields of interest. And so let's say you're interested in pursuing a degree in criminal justice, then you can look at the different areas of work and this information is based on national job statistics. So these are popular areas of employment in this field, and then you'll be able to see what kinds of organizations employ people for that type of work. And the strategies is essentially a list of steps you'll need to take to prepare for a career in that field and to prepare to be competitive. And so this is a great resource if you're still just wanting to explore your options. And this is a conversation you can continue with your advisor during that first session. So it is also critical that you submit your official transcripts for any college credits that are pending transfer to SHSU if you haven't already done that. We want to make sure we get those credits on file for you as soon as possible. Now, let's say you've booked your advising appointment for tomorrow and you have yet to submit your official transcripts to undergraduate admissions. That's okay, but it is important that you work on obtaining a copy of your unofficial transcripts for any dual credits, because we'll want to make sure, like I said earlier, to advise around those courses. So we're not advising you to take classes you're already or have already received credit for. Same goes for any AP credits. Maybe you took some AP courses in high school and you successfully completed the AP exam and received college credit. Great. We need to know about those courses as well. Now, that's a different process for getting those scores transferred to SHSU. So for that, you'll actually contact College Board and request your score report. And that score report will actually go to our testing center on campus, and then they'll apply those credits to your degree plan. So I want to show you where you can find the contact information for College Board on our website. Again, you can use fast links and click on Testing Center. And AP is a credit by exam option, and so you'll click on AP from there, and here you'll find AP contact info, and this will give you a head start on how to reach out to College Board to request that score report. And then there's a list here of all the AP credits that SHSU accepts, and so you can find the information you need on the Testing Center's website. And finally, I recommend writing down any questions that you have that you know you'd like to address with your advisor, because it's so easy in the moment. You know, we have that initial 30-minute session, and some questions can slip your mind. You know, a lot of things come up, and so just to ensure that you get all your questions answered, have those prepared ahead of time and bring them with you to the session. Also, if there isn't enough time for us to answer all of your questions during your first appointment, that's okay. We can schedule a follow-up appointment, or we can just continue the conversation with you via email. Okay, so what to expect during the first appointment. So like I've said, it's a half-hour session. And in terms of how many classes we're going to give you to choose from, or how many hours we're going to advise you to take, we generally talk more in terms of course load, so the number of hours that you're enrolling in each semester, the number of classes. But what you need to know is Sam Houston State University has adopted a 15 to Finish initiative, and this just promotes timely graduation. So if we advise you for enrollment in up to 5 3-hour courses or 15 hours each long semester, then that sets you up for graduation in 4 years, assuming you're a beginning freshman, no credits. And this is because the state of Texas requires that a student, in order to complete a bachelor's degree, earn at least a total of 120 credit hours. So 15 hours per long semester will set you up to get it all done in 4 years. So that's how we're generally going to approach the advisement, up to 16 hours, 15, 16 hours to choose from. That doesn't mean you're required to enroll in that many hours. And your choice about how many classes to take your first semester could vary based on your individual circumstances, whatever scholarships or grants, federal aid you're receiving. Of course, there are going to be implications there too. And then if you're planning to work, so just communicate with your advisor about how many hours you're wanting to take, because we'll advise according to your needs and your goals. But this is generally how we're going to approach the advisement. And every time you come in to see us for official advisement, we're going to give you a list of courses to choose from, and we're going to put notes about all those courses, the options we've given you, into DegreeWorks. So you'll have a record in DegreeWorks that you can refer back to, and just in case you lose track of that updated copy of the degree plan that we send to you, you can always go into DegreeWorks and see your advising notes there. And then, of course, we'll work on familiarizing you with the anatomy of your degree plan, because your degree plan in DegreeWorks is essentially just a checklist of all your undergraduate.
Mike's on a podcast.
I'm sorry, was that a question? Okay, I think we just.
No, you're good. Sorry,
okay.
I think someone just unmuted.
Okay. So yeah, certainly we want to help you understand how to interpret everything that you see on your degree plan, and what all the expectations are, course requirements, GPA requirements, etc. Okay, so you've been advised, and now it's time to register, which can be a pretty intimidating process your first time around, especially if you're not familiar with Banner or registration portal. So fortunately, the registrar's office has put together a really detailed how-to guide for registration, and you can actually access that information on their website. You'll see the how to registered, the link to the how to register PDF here. So I definitely encourage you to review that before you register or as you're registering. And another really helpful resource, and I'm actually going to show you how to access this from my SAM. If you go into the registration tab, you'll see a link to error solutions. This is supremely helpful as well, because it's not uncommon to encounter a registration error message, maybe because there's a student attribute or restriction on a particular section of a course you're trying to add to your schedule. This information will help you identify the problem. So what does it mean? How do I fix it? So definitely I use this information to help you move through that process. It could be that the particular section you're attempting to register for, you won't be able to add to your schedule, but you can always contact the registrar's office if you need further assistance. But those are some helpful resources for you to be aware of. And another really important reminder is, like I said, advising is required for your first and second semesters. We hope you'll get advised every single semester during your time here, whether it's a requirement or not. But when you are going to register, it's really important that you not deviate from that list of classes we've given you to choose from, unless you've already talked with your advisor about that, because this could impact your financial aid. That's because Sam Houston State University has implemented the Course Program of Study, or CPOS, which is a federal financial aid regulation that assesses students' registration for requirements to see, okay, are all of these courses actually required for the student's degree plan? And if not, that could have an impact on your award package as well as your cost of attendance. So all of that to say, just be sure you're sticking to the list of courses we've given you to choose from. If you want to stray from that list, just be sure to connect with your advisor first about that. Now, once you have built your schedule for the fall, plan to follow up with your advisor and just ask that they validate your registration, because we want to make sure everything looks good with your schedule and that there are no outlier situations. And that way you can move forward knowing, okay, my schedule's been verified. I'm taking exactly the classes I need for my first semester. Okay, another resource that I think is really important for you all to be aware of is the academic calendar. You can access this from the Fast Links drop-down menu. But this includes all kinds of important dates for the current term as well as the upcoming term. So you'll see for the fall, and you can change the semester and year here. But at the top, we list when academic advising opens for that semester and then when registration begins. There's all kinds of information here about add drop deadlines, as well as like refund deadlines. So this is important information to be aware of when finals begin, etc. And this way, it just helps you, like once you start one semester, you can go ahead and begin planning for the next. Sorry, y'all, my screen share is frozen. I'm gonna have to stop and then restart.
Okay. Got it?
Yeah, got it. Okay. Now, I did want to go ahead and mention student privacy. Probably most parents who are attending this session have already heard a little bit about how we're limited in the information we can share about students' activities and educational records. And this is due to the Federal Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA, which protects a student's privacy. So unless the student is attending a session with you, if you contact an advisor, we're happy to speak with you in generalities about campus policies and procedures and resources, but we won't be able to discuss details about the student's educational records. So that's important to know. But of course, we encourage each of you to learn all that you can from the website. And that's one reason, as we're moving through this session, I've been kind of navigating the website, because there's so much wonderful information you can access there. And so as you, the parent, are finding information that you think your student would benefit from, or resources, we hope that you'll share that information with the student. And then if they have any questions that we could help them with, definitely encourage them to schedule a meeting with us. And so we've covered a lot of ground talking about what academic advising entails. Now you may be wondering, okay, well, what role do parents play in this process? And so we hope you'll echo the recommendation that I've made for students to meet with their advisor every semester, because each advising team works really hard with the colleges and all the academic departments to ensure that we stay abreast of any changes that are occurring to degree plans. You can find a lot of information about recommended course sequences and undergraduate degree requirements in our online catalog, but there's a lot of information that's not included there that we learn directly from the departments and the colleges. So we just want to make sure that we keep students on track for the most efficient path to graduation. So just be sure that you're reminding your student and encouraging them to check their email, their SHSU email regularly, and then each semester ask them, have you scheduled your advising appointment? because we definitely encourage students to schedule that session early into each semester to ensure that they get advised prior to registration opening. I just mentioned the course catalog, which, like I said, is where you can find a lot of degree requirements and course descriptions, as well as academic policies. And so this is helpful information for you to take advantage of if you just want to learn more. When I was in college, we had a paper copy, but now it's all online, which makes it way more accessible. And so you can access that information from fast links as well. If you just click on catalogs. Okay. So how else can you help your students succeed? So a few final recommendations. I know I'm a little over 30 minutes here. I'll wrap up soon. So if your student expresses to you that they're experiencing some difficulty in any one of their courses this fall or at any point during their time here, definitely encourage them to schedule an appointment with their advisor, because we are happy to talk with students about all their enrollment options. We'll definitely encourage the student to contact their professor. In fact, with that in mind, one of the most helpful approaches to your first semester is communicating regularly with your professors. Really engage with them, because they really are in the best position to support you and help you succeed in each of your courses. But as students do come to us expressing concern about their academic performance in one or more courses, we're definitely going to encourage them to go ahead and make contact with their professors. We can also make referrals to resources such as the Academic Success Center, where there are tutors for various math courses. There's a reading and writing center, and there's supplemental instruction that students can take advantage of. There are tutoring resources. So there are lots of sources of support, and we can talk with students about all of those options. Encourage students to get involved. We definitely want to see students establish a sense of belonging here early into their first year. And one great way to do that is to get involved in student organizations. We have, I think, like over 300 student organizations to choose from. So find one and get plugged in. And take advantage of all the resources, not just the academic resources, but all the supports that are available on campus, because those are designed just to help you thrive during your time here. I also wanted to mention that if a student has a documented disability and they are interested in receiving or discussing potentially receiving reasonable accommodations, then they can connect with our Services for Students with Disabilities office, speak with an accommodations counselor about what documentation will be needed in order to arrange for those accommodations. Okay, so in summation, book your advising appointment for fall 2021 as soon as possible. Be sure to activate your Sam Houston email as well if you haven't already taken care of that. Get into the habit of checking that email every day. Prepare for advisement by checking your TSI status and DegreeWorks. Contact the TSI team in the registrar's office if you have any questions about your TSI status or submitting your scores. Register at your earliest opportunity. Again, registration will open to freshmen on April 22nd. Hopefully you get advised and registered prior to attending orientation this summer, and contact your advisor once registered for registration validation. And that is all I have. You'll see our contact information here. You're welcome to send any inquiries to samcenter@shsu.edu or call our front desk staff. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and we'll get to the questions.
Yeah, that was amazing. So yeah, I just want to reiterate, the relationship you have with your advisor can really make or break your college experience. I tried to be a professional when I was an undergrad and I went off and then ended up having to do another semester. So listen to the professionals, go every semester. Everyone will try and say, oh, you can do it yourself, go off DegreeWorks, but they don't get the changes that, you know, Chelsea is receiving every single day about different degree plans that need to get changed, what classes need to be updated. So definitely reiterate that and let them know, you know, tell your students, let them know what they actually want. You know, it's just a great way to communicate, and so that you'll be in the class they want to, and nothing that they don't want to be in.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lindsay. We can save you time and money. Don't
Yes.
self-advise.
Especially money, because those
Yeah,
student
right.
loans will come around.
That's right.
Okay, so let's get to questions. We had some really good ones. First of all, yes, I forgot to mention this. This session is being recorded and it will be up on our website. I linked it in the chat, but I will have Taryn relink it at the bottom. And that will be available at least by Friday, as long as technology wants to work with me. We have also had our previous one, financial aid, and that one is up there as well. So a lot of financial aid questions will be available because they've answered those. The next one. Okay, so we have gotten a lot of orientation questions because we are a little late in the game for that. Because you have all decided to take the time out of your day to be here, and I really appreciate it, you are all the first to know that registration for orientation is open. It is a soft opening as of right now because we have a new registration system. So you are more than welcome to go in there and register for your student's transfer session or a freshman session. We are offering in-person sessions, so that's very exciting, as well as some virtual sessions if you're not quite comfortable yet coming to campus. And you will be receiving loads of information to your student email about that within the next week. We have lots of dates to choose from, so it'll be able to work around your schedule. But back to the other questions.
I think I know where we're at here, Lindsay. Is it, what if the student can't remember which program they applied to? Is that
Yeah.
okay? Right. Yeah. So as I said earlier, you can go into DegreeWorks, which you can access from the Students tab in My SAM. You'll see the link to DegreeWorks there. And when you click on that link, you'll be able to see, and let me, I'm just gonna share my screen again real quick. Let me show you what that looks like. Because it's gonna be right at the top. So you'll be able to see the major on the right-hand side. And like I said earlier, if the student's planning to pursue a different major than the one that they indicated on Apply Texas, that's fine. They'll want to book their advising session according to the intended major. But if they just forgot like the name of the major, they can go to DegreeWorks and they're going to be able to see that information there. Okay, next question. Oh no, I lost my place, Lindsay. Do you know where we're at?
And we've had a lot of questions about TSI. So does a student need to be, do they need to have their TSI test taken before they come and get advised by you all?
Yes. But that assumes that you don't qualify for an exemption. But yes, certainly if you know you don't qualify for an exemption, you'll want to plan to already have completed the test prior, because you've got to have scores on file. And so thank you for that question, because I don't think I clarified that in my presentation. Be sure that you set aside time to complete the TSI prior to your advisement.
Yeah. And what is the time gap between, so if a student comes to campus and they take their TSI, can they come straight to you all to get advised right after that? Or is there kind of a layover?
So as long as you've already completed the TSI through SHSU, even if there is lag time, the registrar's office can pull that score report. Like we just contact the TSI team and they'll be able to get that information quickly. And so as long as you've done it before your advising appointment, that's the key. And then if the scores haven't already been imported in DegreeWorks, you can just let your advisor know, oh, I completed the TSI like right before our session.
Okay. And then we had some questions about transferring credits. Can you speak a little bit on like the transfer equivalency guide?
Oh, sure. Now, if that question was asked because you're interested in maybe like joint enrollment, taking classes at a community college during your time here, or even a four-year institution, that's okay, but you need to have a conversation with your advisor first. We actually have a transient form that we'll complete with you to ensure that you're guided on which courses you need to register for at that transfer institution that will apply to your degree plan and whatever courses you're trying to satisfy with those transfer credits. And so as far as planning to take classes elsewhere in the future, definitely have the conversation with your advisor first before registering for those classes. Now, if you're just wondering how courses you've already completed or are currently enrolled in will transfer, we will address that with you in your first advising session. You just need to be sure to bring a copy of your unofficial transcript so we can see that information. And then once you get the official transcript submitted to undergraduate admissions, the transcript analyst will articulate those credits, and that's when you'll see them applied to the degree plan.
Okay. I'm trying to see, where was I? We have quite a few. So for TSI, there seems to be a lot of TSI questions. I think the best way to go about that for TSI exemptions, things like that, would be to contact the registrar's office. Absolutely. They will be, that is their area of expertise, and so they will be able to help you out with that. Taryn can go ahead and drop their information into the chat so that you'll be able to have that. But yeah, it's definitely something, a good rule of thumb is that TSI scores, everything that has to do with your exemptions will be with the registrar's office, and the actual test itself is just the testing center. So they have nothing to do with your scores, anything like that. They just administer the test. I see a couple of housing questions. We actually do have in our next session housing and dining that will come and speak to you all, but I believe that roommate selection is going on now, and room selection will happen in May. So that is coming up. So if you want to get that done, you can go ahead and contact us as well, or to Residence Life, and they can get that taken care of.
Lindsay, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just saw a question that we haven't answered yet. I didn't mention this during the presentation, but it is important. So we do the bulk of undergraduate advising here in the SAM Center. However, there are a few programs, primarily in the College of Arts and Media and the College of Science and Engineering Tech, that are advised by faculty advisors in that academic department. Someone asked the question, which advising team advises for animal science? So the Department of Agriculture, they actually advise for all their own programs. So Dr. Ulrich is one of the advisors there, but you'll see that information on Who's My Advisor, on the Who's My Advisor page. So if you select animal science, you'll be able to see that department's contact information. So not all of the academic departments use Campus Connect for appointment self-scheduling. So you may have to contact that department directly to set up an advising appointment with any department that requires external advising outside the SAM Center.
Definitely. So are there any other last minute questions about advising that we can get Chelsea to answer before she has to go? Once again, I know Taryn can speak on this as well. Having a good relationship with your advisor, going and getting those advising appointments every semester is so crucial to getting graduated on time and not having to pay extra money to be here a little bit longer, even though it's fun. I will say that for any other questions that y'all have, orientation, Bearcat Camp, things like that, or if you are just going through your checklist and are just completely, you don't know where to start, that is completely okay. That's what our office is here for. So you can email our office at accepted@shsu.edu, and we can either set up another Zoom meeting kind of similar to this with someone, with one of our mentors like Taryn, and she can sit down and have that conversation with your student and walk you through that checklist, screen share, things like that. Or we can just email back and forth and get you the information or get you to the office that you need to go to. I do also want to mention that we're also doing kind of a Zoom session for students in different ISDs around the area. So if your student wasn't involved in one of the ISDs and hasn't gotten any communications about that, please email us and let us know, and we can just add them to a Zoom session, no big deal. And then that way they'll get kind of more of the lifestyle information, you know, where do I eat on campus? What's the best dining plan to get? How do I pick my roommate? You know, more of the things that they care about, aside from the financials and the classes part. So yeah, of course, thank you again, Chelsea. If y'all have any questions, please feel free to reach out. It is what we are here for.
Actually, I spy one more, Lindsay.
Oh, go for it.
One more that we haven't answered. Okay. How do you change your major? Great question. Your advisor can do that for you. So you actually don't have to seek a change prior to your first advising session. As long as you book your advising appointment with the appropriate team for your intended major, then once you join that session, your advisor will go ahead and submit the appropriate form to get your degree plan updated to reflect your intended major. So thank you for asking. And then if at any point after your initial advising session, you change your mind about which major you want to pursue, you can just book another advising appointment. That is important, y'all. You need to get re-advised if you change your major. And so just be sure that if anything does changes after your first advisement, that you seek re-advisement for the new major.
Yeah, definitely. As someone who changed their major 3 times, I definitely also recommend it. You see why I stayed here to work, because I just had a great experience.
Right.
I have changed mine once.
Exactly. But yes, thank you all again for coming. Our next event will be next month, and that will be a double whammy with dining services and residence life. So please, those invitations will go out pretty soon. Same format. It will also be recorded if you're unable to make it, and it will be up on our website. But of course, if y'all have any questions, please reach out to us, and we hope y'all have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Taryn and Lindsay.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you, everyone.